Hi, my name is Abigail. I'm a current fourth year at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo studying graphic communication, focusing in web and digital media. And let me just jump into some of my work. So the first project I'm going to share about is this health center mobile application I designed with my teammate Ivy Kolb. And this was my first introduction to UI, UX, and we really dive deep into the UX research side of things. Um, just some background on the health center. So the health center came to us about developing or creating a mobile application that allowed students really the general ability to communicate with the health center, whether it was about scheduling appointments more effectively or viewing all the services provided or really just understanding exactly what the health center could offer them. And there isn't really anything out there at the moment that the health center has for students. There's something you can access through the Cal Poly portal, but it's just not effective or efficient, and a lot of students just don't know how to use it or how to access it and whatnot. So the first step we did in our UX research was developing a problem and a hypothesis. So we found that the problem was that there was this perceived lack of efficiency in the health center on campus in its ability to cater to students' needs as they seek just medical help, along with just fitting it into the flexibility of their own scheduling and lives. And so our hypothesis was that we believe that developing an app where students are able to make these appointments and communicate with the health center in a more efficient and convenient way, that would really solve the problem of just the health center not properly catering to students. And so the next step we did was just to do this competitive analysis where we took a look at um, different medical applications and we saw what they did offer, things that they didn't offer, and we just compared them to the goals that we had for our own application. And then the next step was we did in person user interviews. So we just did a random selection of students on campus and interviewed them to understand their perceptions of the health center and their own experience of going and interacting with the people that work there. And so we found from the user interviews, we then developed three different personas: David, Sam, and Stephanie, each personifying a different category of students on campus where we found there was a lot of overlapping. And then for each persona, we developed a scenario of how they would interact with the health center in using, or the health center application and using it. And then we also created a user flow for each one of the personas, walking through exactly when they would click, make a decision, and just how they would work their way through the application. From there, we did feature prioritization, and we just listed out all the different features that we wanted to include, and then we put them on this graph of high impact to low, expected versus unexpected on the application, and then really honed in on the features that made it to high impact and the ones that were expected to be accessible through the application. And then so just after all that research and all the ideation, we developed our first low fidelity prototype, and you can actually access it right here if you're interested. And then we went out and we did some user testing where we had three tasks and we had users try to go through the app and actually just see if they were successful using it. And we found that we did have 100% success on each one, though in some areas they did need some guidance and help on our end. And then from that, we just found some critical usability issues, and we got some key findings from interviews that we conducted afterwards in order to or transition and make the prototype even more effective and successful. And so we took all those key findings and all those issues into thought as we designed our high fidelity prototype, which you can also view right over here. And then from after Hi-Fi, we also did some more user testing, very similar tasks that we gave them, but slightly different answers. And then we found that results. We had a SUS score of 90.63, which is pretty good given that I think the industry average is about 68. So we were really happy about that. And then we just also then wrapped up some key findings from our interviews. And then just really quickly, I just want to run through a second project of mine is this Catcher in the Rye movie poster. So the goal of the project was to just create a conceptual design of a movie poster for a novel that hasn't quite yet made it into a movie. So I decided to do Catcher in the Rye. And so I just have, these are my first 3 drafts in order. So iteration 1, the second draft, and the third draft. And then another thing I did was the hat is just a really important part of the novel, and I decided to play around with incorporating the title into the hat and using that, just playing around with the typography. So in this part, you can just see the transition of how the title sequence came to be. And here's the final movie poster. But yeah, thank you so much for taking a peek at my work.